Cruise news time. Well, unfortunately, the story that's dominating the news is the tragedy coming off of the Scarlet Lady. I'll tell you everything I know about that. Also, we have numbers coming out from Royal Caribbean on how much money they will be spending on new cruise ships over the next few years. And another story from Royal Caribbean may make non-smokers happy and may make some Miles Davis fans mad. Cruise news and my views. Let's talk about it. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to La Lido Loca. I am your host, Tony, here to talk you through everything going on in cruising. And well, cruise news story number one is a story that is no fun to cover at all. Sometimes I question whether it's even any value covering these stories, but of course the story's blowing up everywhere. Everybody is talking about it. It seems like this is something that people want to know about, but a couple days ago, the Valiant Lady left the cruise terminal there in Miami, making its way to Roatan, Honduras. And on the very first night of its cruise, a female passenger went over her balcony from, I think, the 14th floor, maybe falling down to deck 7 and hitting that deck. There's some interesting facts coming out around it. TMZ has reported that the passenger fell on another passenger. Either way, this woman sustained severe injuries. She succumbed to those injuries. She passed away, and the cruise ship had to return to Miami. If you want to go to TMZ, they have photographs of a tarp, a tent that was put up over the area where the lady fell while they were doing an investigation. There is some speculation as to what happened. Did she jump? Did somebody push her? You just don't fall off your balcony. So something has to happen. You either have to be climbing on your balcony or, it's a horrible story. Fellow cruise tuber and friend of the show, Jay from The Ship Life, was on the Valiant Lady when this happened. He did a very extensive video that includes the captain's announcements, their reaction there on the cruise ship. It's a heavy thing that's going on. Virgin Voyages telling the passengers that they have people on board if they want to talk to them. They're also giving every passenger on board a free cruise, a 100% future cruise credit. They have had to change their itinerary. They're skipping Roatan because of bad weather. They're skipping another stop. They're going to Cozumel. It happens in cruising, but it's always tragic when it happens. I don't know that we'll know for sure what happened in this situation, but the final result is that there is a female passenger who passed away. Condolences to the family and thoughts and prayers to those that are grieving right now. It's a bad story. Cruise news story number two, a better cruise news story. We talked yesterday how MSC, their run book came out for their future builds. They were spending over $8 billion in new builds to get 26,000 new berths for their company across two brands. Well, Royal Caribbean's numbers have come out today, and they're doing $9.9 billion in new cruise ships, and that will be for 11 cruise ships across several of their brands. The brands include Royal Caribbean International, Celebrity Cruise Line, Silver Seas, and TUI Cruises. All 11 cruise ships will make it on the scene by 2026, resulting in 47,000 plus new berths for the Royal Caribbean group across their brands. I have gotten the question, why would Royal Caribbean, a company so severely in debt because of the shutdown, why would they continue to build new cruise ships? And look, I don't have any insider information, but the way that it seems to me is that the profitability for cruising comes from scaling up. This is what they learned before the shutdown. So the more inventory they can have on hand, the more berths that they can fill, the more profit that they can make. And so, of course, you got to address the debt, but addressing the debt and building for the future are two different conversations. They run parallel for sure, but they are two different conversations. Scaling up is one way to get back to a higher profitability, which will help service the debt. And so you have to manage those two things differently. I don't see cruise lines like Royal Caribbean stopping their expansion. I believe that they believe that that is their path to recovery. And it's certainly true because they're filling up these cruise ships as quickly as they can build them. So $9.9 billion investment in new cruise ships coming from Royal Caribbean Group. That's significant. Now, as I did say in the intro, there is a story out here that may make Miles Davis fans sad, but may make non-smokers happy. Before I tell you about that, let me quickly invite you to subscribe. If you like staying up to date with all of the cruise news, do yourself a favor, hit that subscribe button. That way you don't miss out on any of these episodes. Thank you in advance. Are you familiar with the Jazz on 4 jazz clubs on Oasis class cruise ships? Now, if you've only been on the Wonder of the Seas, you would not be familiar with them because there's not one on there. But the previous versions of the Oasis class cruise ships, they did have the Jazz on 4, and it was a nice little club where musicians and singers, they would come together and they would jazz it up. They would play some standards, some jazz favorites. It had a cool vibe, man. You felt like you were a real hip cat if you were in the jazz club. Now, when the Wonder of the Seas came out, and remember that was a ship built for the Asian market, they didn't have Jazz on 4. They had this thing called the Golden Room, and it was another casino. Now, I'm unsure whether this was a smaller high-limit room for the casino or if this was a non-smoking room for the casino. But the way it's being used currently on Wonder of the Seas is it's an extra casino, and it is a non-smoking casino. The main big casino on Wonder of the Seas is smoking and non-smoking. They have a non-smoking and a smoking side, but it's, there's no wall separating it or anything like that. So if you really want a smoke-free casino experience on Wonder of the Seas, you would go to this Golden Room. Well, cruisers are reporting that the Jazz on 4 clubs on other Oasis-class ships have been closed, and the rumor is that they will be replacing Jazz on 4 with more of these singular non-smoking casinos. And while you would think that would be great news for the non-smokers, I have heard some pushback even to this idea of having a smaller non-smoking casino. The non-smokers are saying, forget that, stick the smokers in the smaller casino. They actually do that on Norwegian Cruise Line. But it's interesting, a sentiment that's been talked about by several different cruise lines. When people go to the casino, people like to smoke. Many of the cruise lines have done experiments with non-smoking areas in the casino, non-smoking casinos, and they have found that, when they reduce the ability to smoke in the casino, less people go to the casino. And one of the biggest profit centers on cruise ships is the casino. So talk about trying to find a balance. So non-smokers may be rejoicing, but you know who's not rejoicing? Maybe Thelonious Monk, Miles Davis, and James Moody fans. Do you guys like Moody's Mood for Love? There I go, there I go, there I go, there I go. Pretty baby, you are the soul that snaps my control. Such a funny thing, but every time you're near me, I can never behave. You give me a smile and I'm wrapped up in your music. There's music all around me, crazy music, it's calling me so very close to you. Turns me your slave. All right, that's enough. Live shows tonight, big cruise announcement. Make sure you show up for that live show at 6 p.m. here on the YouTube channel. For all the folks that are part of the $5 a month Patreon, you get your extra live show tonight over on Patreon, 7 p.m. And come check it out. It's Tony for La Lido Loca. Until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido. Bye.